Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC 255, Deiveson Figueiredo versus Alex Perez. We got a couple free plays here we're going to talk about, have a prop bet on the co-main event that I definitely want to talk about, as well as a side and a prop bet on the main event. So we're going to get into all of that as well, but I first do want to talk about the contest, the 1-year subscription of my service, 12 months of picks emailed to you as soon as I create them. It goes right into your account. You're able to take a look at them as I am giving them out. And basically the way this is going to be is I'm always giving everybody picks. I'm always giving you my client plays, my free plays, prop bets. I'm giving you all kinds of things. So what I'm going to be doing here is really looking at it as I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys like on the main event. So the way to enter into this contest is first, this post, you've got to retweet, like it, and also follow me, and I need to make sure you do all three of those things. And then below on this post, let me know who you like in the main event and what round the main event will end. So if you like Perez decision, put Perez decision down there. If you like Figueiredo third round, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be, doesn't matter if it's submission or knockout, but just as long as the fight ends with that fighter in that round, you win. If there's one winner, obviously that person does win. And what I'll do is direct message you, get your WagerTalk username. If you don't have one yet, create one, let me know, and I will make sure my package is added to your account. And also, if there is multiple winners, 2, 3, whatever it may be winners, put them in a raffle. One winner will be selected from there. If there is no winners and nobody picks the correct round and fighter, what I'm going to do is everybody that has entered, I will then put you into a raffle, and I will pick one person from there. And again, I don't want any bullshit Twitter accounts. I don't want any, accounts with, people trying to get extra, entries into it. One entry per person, one entry per human being. I don't want all these other Twitter accounts there. If I do realize that, I'm just going to kind of disqualify that person or just not even count them to begin with. So definitely don't get into that. Let's keep this fair, honest, and keep this going. With that being said, now I'm going to talk about the main event of the evening, a flyweight title fight between Deiveson Figueiredo and Alex Perez. So this is an interesting fight here, and again, two title fights, really two fights that I think that are exciting to watch regardless. You're going to see one of the best female fighters in the world, and you're also going to see two fighters that I think there's a lot that goes on in this fight. I think it's kind of being slept on, this main event. Going to talk about it. You've got Figueiredo right now currently. He's a minus 325 favorite. You've got Perez at plus 250. Roughly around there. I am seeing the lines kind of fluctuating depending on what book you're going to be shopping at. But those are kind of roughly the lines that I'm kind of seeing at this point. So first we're talking about the current champion, Deiveson Figueiredo. And again, like we always do, we go down 3 fights of each fighter, see if one fighter can expose something of the other fighter, and if it makes sense to place a wager. So what we're going to do here is we're first going to go 3 fights ago. Deiveson Figueiredo faced Tim Elliott. Now, this is a fight here where, I'm not big on Tim Elliott, and really just his skill set. He's a wrestler. He's a scrappy kind of guy. And this was a fight here where early, Elliott was just kind of looking for that takedown, kind of looking to time it, stayed on the outside. Figueiredo, quick counter striker, has some good rangy punches. And, Tim Elliott kind of stood on the outside, didn't really do too much. And then when he looked to actually explode for the big takedown, he was looking to kind of take advantage of his wrestling background, get on top, and maybe more positioning than anything, and didn't really throw too many strikes prior to that. Goes in for a lunging takedown. And I got to say, for a wrestler, he really left his neck completely exposed. And Figueiredo, just real quickly, I think he's a pretty smart fighter, goes out there, latches in a guillotine, and pretty much, Elliott dove into the guillotine. I mean, he blatantly, went perfectly into it. Figueiredo locked it up. It was a submission victory in the first round. Not much to really break down here. I'm not big on Tim Elliott to begin with. Just in general, his skill set, I don't think he brings much to the table besides a lot of toughness and a little bit of grappling. But Figueiredo goes out there and gets the submission victory in that first round. Now, more importantly, is the next 2 fights really is against Joseph Benavidez. Both times that they fought, the first one and the second time. And I think there's a lot to actually take away from this fight in general. So, we're going to get into it here a little bit. Is the first one here between Benavidez and Figueiredo. It was a title fight. And, a lot of stuff happened afterwards, but this was a title fight between these two. And, early on, Benavidez definitely has scrambling ability. I mean, he's a wrestler. He's got some striking, good punching power. You've seen him, he definitely throws a lot into each strike. And, right away, he looked in for a takedown, kind of a scramble on the ground, and Figueiredo almost actually armbarred him, which I'm not even sure how he got out of that first armbar, but he almost armbarred him, and the great scrambling ability of Benavidez gets up, and then at that point, it was very calculated striking from Joseph Benavidez. Now, again, he's not this high-level striker, but he's got some ability, and I thought he did really well after that scramble. He was landing some nice shots, good footwork, kind of moving on the outside. Figueiredo was looking to counter. Maybe, maybe he was just kind of looking for that opening to counter a little bit. But in general, I really like what Benavidez was doing that first round. And again, looking at what Figueiredo can do as a well-rounded striker, as a well-rounded fighter compared to Benavidez, I really lean towards Figueiredo more when you're just kind of looking at them as a whole. But Benavidez did a great job in that first round. He was throwing a lot of haymakers, but utilizing the jab, kind of working inside, looking to walk him down a little bit. And that first round looked really good for Benavidez. Going into that second round, I thought was, again, he was kind of doing the same thing, kind of utilizing good footwork. I think, again, you weren't really seeing, Figueiredo firing as much, mixing it up, I thought Benavidez did. And then it was, after a really nice combination from Benavidez, it was a headbutt. And you could tell as soon as that happened, Benavidez was definitely kind of out of sorts at that point. Looked like he was kind of a little bit dazed. And then a big shot from Figueiredo, drops him, finishes the fight in the second round. Now, the takeaway from this really for me here is that Benavidez had a lot of success prior to that knockdown, or the knockout, or headbutt, I really should say, that he definitely had some success there. And I don't think he's this dynamic striker, but he had success. And again, you take a little piece away from that, I think that it definitely showed that, Figueiredo is definitely susceptible to being hit. He's got this lackadaisical kind of defensive style, always has his hands down, and that is something we're going to talk about a little bit later. But is it a question of fatigue? Is it a question of cardio? And you see where Figueiredo is definitely a guy, again, great striking, has some power, good rangy combinations, but can he carry that through a 5-round fight, 3-round fight, pushing forward with the kind of output that he has? But in general, you go out there, Benavidez does lose, and Figueiredo goes out there and gets the victory. Now, he was overweight, didn't get the title, all these crazy things happened, but then they fought again. It was Benavidez versus Figueiredo 2. And this was more here where I really thought this, Benavidez looked like a guy on the decline in this fight. This didn't even appear to be the same guy, although it was not very far away from when these two fights happened. But I thought he looked just a lot different. I thought body type looked a little bit different. I thought he looked drained a little bit more. The fight prior, I thought he looked a little bit more chiseled, a little bit more in shape. And he goes out there, Figueiredo, dropped him 2 or 3 times in this first round, in the first, set of combinations, of exchanges. And then, he gets back up. And then there was a point where right away it looked like it was going to be a club and sub situation where he's going to knock him down, get on top of him, get his back, get the submission. Benavidez, again, a fantastic scrambler, able to really get out of very, very tough grappling exchanges, gets out of it, was in a very bad situation again, got up, which shows a lot of skill. And then he got dropped again, and Figueiredo, poured it on a little bit more, beat him up, and then ended up choking him out in that first round. It was just a dominating showing from Figueiredo. But again, the chin of Benavidez, where he's at in his career, I don't know if it takes a little bit something away from it at this point where he is, but he goes out there and gets the submission victory in the first round and is the flyweight champion. Now talking about the other side, you've got Alex Perez. And 3 fights ago, he fought Mark De La Rosa. This was a really great fight for Perez. I thought he looked in great shape, in this division, looked good, fending off takedowns, good volume, and really hard ground and pound. That's something that, he's got the wrestling background as well, but the hard ground and pound is almost something that you don't see as much. A lot of guys, when they get or girls, when they get on top, they're not really looking to just hammer away. They're more looking at positioning, maybe, keep them there a little bit more, look for a submission finish. The hardcore ground and pound is almost a lost art. And I think even Joe Rogan talked about this not long ago on either his podcast, wherever it was that I heard him. And he just said, a lot of people don't do that anymore. They're not comfortable kind of keeping the guy there and working because they feel, somebody can roll out of the position or they're going to give up something where, hey, I've got him on the ground. I could almost, I could kind of work from here on top and win the round. Where, I really like what Perez does there, where he gets on top, yet he throws hard strikes. He is not scared to let it fly when he's on top. And also because he has that wrestling background, which kind of helps him in a way also. So he's got that strength. He goes out there in this fight, sweeping decision, wins every round, easy victory for him, goes out there and gets a decision victory over Mark De La Rosa. 2 fights ago, he fought Jordan Espinosa. Now, I'm pretty high on Jordan Espinosa, just his skill set in general. Great boxing, good movement, he's constantly moving, rangy striker, he definitely moves, sticks and moves, and he's actually starting to use some grappling more into his arsenal. And this was a fight here where, again, the good movement happened, but the thing that Perez did, and I'm going to talk about this fight and the Formiga fight, which is the next one, is really the fact that he's not a one-dimensional fighter. Perez is definitely not the kind of guy that's just, hey, he's a wrestler, or he's just a heavy striker. In this fight here, he's got a guy in Espinosa who, again, rangy, good boxer, and he did exactly what he's supposed to do against a guy of this nature. Cut distance, smother him, get him up against the fence, and look for the takedown. And he did that right away. I mean, he saw that, obviously, again, the movement and the range, that's how Espinosa is going to be tough. And went in there, got that takedown, and just worked from there. Just went on top, got some ground and pound, took him down, submission victory in that first round. I mean, that's textbook of what you're supposed to do against a guy that really is a rangy, longer fighter. And again, it's not that, Perez couldn't have stood and struck with him, but the path of least resistance was getting him up against the cage and going in there and getting the takedown and getting the finish. And then his next fight, he went up against Formiga. Now, this is another fight where he fought completely different. And this just shows, I think, a high fight IQ. I think it shows that he's got multiple weapons in his arsenal where it's not just not just the wrestling, not just the striking. He's utilizing them against a particular fighter and has a game plan and sticks with that game plan. And against Formiga, this is another situation. Formiga, got the grappling background. Where would this fight go? Where is the path of least resistance? And this was a fight here where he just said, I'm going to stand the outside and leg kick the heck out of Formiga. And right away, he went out there and just chopped away. Hard leg kicks, and as soon as you could see right away, he landed about 2 or 3. Formiga was already a little bit kind of dinged up, and from there, worked some combinations, kept going, sticking and moving, kind of working on the outside, never looked for the takedown, kind of stayed on the outside, and utilized his striking. And I thought that was such a smart move for this guy who, again, did he figure, hey, I'm gonna utilize my wrestling and get him up against the cage? He figured, if I can stay on the outside, I can beat Formiga on basically the striking side of things and not worry about the grappling. He goes out there, gets a calf kick knockout, finishes him, chopped him down. Formiga basically just collapsed, couldn't stand on his leg anymore, and that was the end of the fight. And again, I just think that says a lot about the type of fighter that Perez is because he's going to go against Figueiredo here, and he's going to seek a really strong game plan. So he goes up there and gets the victory in that first round by TKO. So with that all being said, obviously you've got Figueiredo. The big things with him is his striking, well-rounded, and the fact that he's very good at smoothly transitioning from southpaw to orthodox. Very good at that, and that's obviously where it's tougher for opponents to realize where the striking's coming from, where the strikes are coming from. He's got good hand speed, nice distance management as well, and he's very good at a great counter-striker. I mean, I think his counter-striking ability is definitely slept on, the way that he goes out there and kind of lures the opponent in. Even there's points where he's kind of backing up. I mean, the punch is just missing him, and he goes back and throws a counter strike. Very good at that. And he's going to have a 2.5-inch reach advantage, which will be interesting to see what Perez does on that side. And then you've got Perez on the other side, who has showed versatility. Again, I think the game planning and how he tactically kind of finds a path to beat somebody, I think is interesting. His leg kicks now are something that's very, very important to his game, and as well that he's a grappler. He's got the grappling ability and now is adding the arsenal of striking in there, good boxing overall, and hard ground and pound. I mean, there's a lot to this guy that I think maybe the market and the betting market isn't looking at as much. And now you got the price tag you've got here, minus 325 for the champion of Figueiredo, plus 250 for Perez here. I really think that this is, who do I think will win this fight? I mean, obviously, Figueiredo has the ability to go out there and get the job done, without a doubt. But when you look at where this price is, I mean, this is, to me, way too inflated here. Looking at Figueiredo at minus 325, minus 300, in that range is kind of where he's pretty much going. I think that's way too high. I think Alex Perez has an absolute chance to go out there and get this victory. I think he's durable. I think he's got the strength. And at this price, at plus 250, this is a dog or pass for me. I can't see myself going into a situation here, paying up for Figueiredo. And again, Figueiredo, he beat twice Benavidez, who at this point in his career is he's had a great career. He just never has won really the big ones. He was getting pieced up a little bit by Benavidez in that first one until the headbutt. And even against Tim Elliott is not the biggest win by any means, and he hasn't really had this great resume of wins, these great resumes of wins. Benavidez, known guy, but just not where he should be at this point in his career, kind of the downgrade overall. And I think Perez really is hitting a nice path here. I think he looks great. So I am definitely betting Perez to win at plus 250. But I think another spot here and a prop bet that I do absolutely like is Perez via knockout is plus 600. And I don't see this being, I think this is a situation where you could see Perez going out there and ground and pounding his way to a finish or a big shot, hurting Figueiredo. I think the knockout has absolute value over 5 rounds. I think he's going to have some opportunities to really land some big shots. Plus, I think also Figueiredo, this is my opinion here, and just kind of the way that I've been looking at some of these fights, I think there's a questionable gas tank to Figueiredo. So a late knockout, or the volume I think that Perez puts out and some of the wrestling and the scrambling that's going to happen is going to drain some cardio. I think Perez is going to have a better cardio gas tank than Figueiredo. So early on, I think Figueiredo is going to look good, and I think as the fight progresses, you're going to find Perez is going to definitely have some opportunities, land some big shots, cause some damage. So here, I like Perez to win at plus 250 and Perez via knockout plus 600. I think there's value here, and again, I think this is an absolute dog or pass. Not worth paying up on Figueiredo. Even again, does he have the ability to win? Of course he does. I just think at this price, it's not worth paying up for, because again, if I'm paying up, I want to really feel that, hey, it's worth it to me. And in this spot, I don't see it. So I have Perez here to win in the main event at UFC 255. So that's that. And we're going to talk about also the co-main event of the evening between Valentina Shevchenko and Jennifer Maia. Now, I'm not, we've got the line here. Currently, you've got minus 1,800 on Shevchenko. You've got Maia is plus 880 in that range, which is just astronomical at this point. So we're looking at the prop market here. We're not going to be looking at straight betting here. Obviously, I believe Shevchenko is going to be the winner in this fight, but we're going to go down very, 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 very quickly, kind of go down a couple of fights for each one, and then just give you my pick at the end of this, my prop bet play. So Shevchenko, 3 fights ago, she knocked out Jessica Ai in a brutal knockout. I mean, it just shows, the way that Shevchenko sets some of these strikes up is really incredible. That first round, she goes out there, throws a lot of body kicks, a couple leg kicks, a lot of, following up with combinations with another body kick, and just getting Jessica Ai to put her hands low. And right away in that second round, she throws a head kick and absolutely obliterates Jessica Ai. Just setting up that head kick in the second round just shows how technically sound she is, what a great fight IQ she has. But she goes out there and gets the knockout victory. 2 fights ago, she fought Liz Carmouche. This was a completely lopsided decision victory. It was 50-45, sweeping for every judge. She went out there and just dominated the complete fight overall. And then most recently, she fought Caitlin Chikagian. This is a fight here where, Chikagian's got a lot of movement. She's a rangy fighter, doesn't have much power, and, has shown in certain aspects that she can have a good volume as well. But this was a spot here where Shevchenko, the ranginess was one part where, Shevchenko was kind of, standing and striking with her is not, without a doubt she can go and do that, but she went up there, got the takedowns, big elbow at the end of that first round, opened up Shevchenko, and then throughout the second round, the third round, just hard ground and pound, getting the takedowns. Not much that Chikagian was able to really do on the ground, on her back. Just showed the dominance and the well-rounded skill set of Shevchenko overall, but she goes out there, gets a third round knockout victory by ground and pound, and she defended her title there. And then you got the other side, you got Jennifer Maia. Maia fought 3 fights ago, Roxanne Modafferi, and this was Modafferi kind of getting old, has some grappling, no striking, but early in that fight, I gotta say, Modafferi actually landed some nice shots against Maia, who Maia is predominantly a boxer, and she went up there and ended up getting the victory. It was a sweeping victory for her, but it was a sloppy fight, I thought, for both fighters. I don't think there was really this highlight reel kind of dominating performance against Modafferi, who, again, very low-grade fighter at the end of her career, but Maia goes out there and gets the decision victory. Then she did fight Katlyn Chookagian, did lose that fight, but I think the big takeaway in this fight was basically the fact that the movement of Chookagian was way too much for Maia. Maia likes to really dig in, stand in front, box. She's got that boxing background, stand and box, look to throw the heavy shots, wants to trade leather. That's her thing. And Chookagian just kept moving and just stood outside, popped out the jab, threw a couple, not even very hard kicks, just kind of touching her, keep touching her, and building up on the strikes landed. And that was her path to victory there. Not much that she really did. But I did think that, keeping the jab, keeping her at bay, and the movement is something that Maia needs to really change if she's going up against Shevchenko, who has movement, power, better striking than Chookagian. But she goes out there, she does lose to Katlyn Chookagian by decision. It was, I think it was pretty much 2 rounds to 1, if I do remember correctly, and that was a loss for Maia. And then most recently, she fought Joanne Calderwood. This was one where I did think Calderwood would go out there and get this victory. Not high on Maia to begin with, but she went out there and utilized some of her boxing, good exchanges, and Joanne did exactly what I thought she would do: get that takedown, and she got the takedown, caught a kick, brought her to the ground. Thought this was going to be a great round for her in that first round. Landed some shots, trying to just work positioning, staying calm. But then when she started kind of throwing some of the ground and pound there, it was just kind of left her arm out. She ended up even kind of leaving it there, got out of position, so she wasn't going to have any kind of arm bar opportunity. And then she kind of left her arm there again. And Maia, who if you keep leaving her arm there, she's going to end up grabbing it. She grabs it, gets a first round submission victory, and beats Joanne Calderwood. So with that being said, on the other side, you've got Shevchenko, we all know, elite striker, high-level kickboxing, extremely well-rounded, good movement, solid counter-striker. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could talk about how good Shevchenko is. And the other side, you've got Maia, she's got the boxing, good volume, looks like she has nice cardio, that she can keep that volume going over rounds, even with some of the grappling. But I think the big difference in this situation with this is the fact of the arsenals that both have. Now, Maia, I think she has no business being in this title fight. I understand that the division is thin. I understand that. That's not going to be, that's just the problem when you've got a dominant champion who's beating everybody. The division's a little bit thin there, but she's a boxer. And if you go back and kind of look at most of Maia's fights, she's not one to really utilize kicks. Her kicking game is very limited. She has good boxing, good hand speed, nice combinations. She looks like she has a little bit of pop in her hands there, but as in it just an overall, she has, looks like she's got some ground game. But if she's not utilizing any kicks, and it's going to be a boxing stand-up match, Valentina is going to absolutely pepper her and pick her apart from beginning to end of this fight. And even if she wants to for the takedown, I think that takedowns, I don't really see that happening as much. I think this is going to be a standing fight. Also, the fact that Maia likes to move forward. Maia is not scared to stand in the pocket and trade. And she doesn't, she's not as light-footed. She's a little bit more flat-footed in the pocket, which will allow Shevchenko to land a mass amount of shots. I think she's going to be working the leg kicks, slowing her down even more, and then just picking her apart. And in this spot here, you've got Valentina again. She's minus 1,800. Maia on the comeback is plus 880. Obviously, we're not going to be laying the big juice there, the big line there, but I think a great spot here is going to be a method of victory, and I do like method of victory. Shevchenko to win via knockout is minus 120, and I think that is just, you're getting off the big number big time there. And Shevchenko, she's had some knockout victories, she's had some submission victories in there, but I think in a spot here, I think it's a great spot that they're both going to look to stand. They're both going to look to trade. I don't think that, Maya's not going to look for the takedown here. I don't believe she's going to push for the takedowns. I think she's going to be happy kind of staying on the outside, looking to land. And of course, if she gets hurt, she's going to look for the takedown, but that's not a great spot for her to be. I think it's almost worse to be on the ground, although, Valentina is just great everywhere. But I think this is going to be a spot where she's a boxer. She's going to be very happy to be standing in the pocket, trading, looking for the big shot. And I think Valentina's going to hurt her. She's going to get her to the ground, and she's going to end up finishing her on the ground with some ground and pound. So I am going to be taking Valentina Shevchenko to win, method of victory by knockout, -120. So those are my 3 plays for UFC 255. And if you're looking for the package that I am offering up now, 4 plays up on WagerTalk, link down in the description. Take a look. And besides for that, again, definitely get involved into the contest. And again, it's the main event of the evening. Give me who you think's going to win, what round it's going to end in, and then also follow me. And on this post, like and retweet it, and you are entered into the contest. Winner, I will DM you and make sure that you get my year picks for free. So there you have it for the prediction show for UFC 255, and we'll see you next time. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and we'll see you next time.